we go.
All right, folks. Everybody can hear me in the back? Everything's good? All right. So my name is Mike Paulowitz. I work with Converge Technology Group. We are the integrator or provider that is going to be putting up the new phones and everything like that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to give you a little training session on the desktop phone as well as the soft phone that you're going to have available to you on your computers. So the agenda, real quick, is going to be we're going to go over first the desk phones, and what we're going to do with that first is we're going to go over the look and feel. So basically, what you're going to see and what the buttons will do, and then we're going to get into some basic call handling, just the things you're going to be doing day to day. I'm not going to bog you down with too many features because it's a little much at first. It is only a phone, but it does do a lot. Then we're going to get into voicemail. That's going to be the final piece for the desk phones, and then after that we'll get into the soft phones on your PCs. All right. So what you're going to have on your desk is going to be Cisco IP phones. These are 7965 models. They're a color phone. You should all have one in front of you. I believe there will be other folks that are getting different models, and it's going to be two in total that are available to you folks. If you do get the black and white phones, there really is no difference in functionality. The only thing that is going to be different from a training aspect is the little buttons that you see on the gray panel on the right-hand side of the screen. You're going to have less on the black and white phones. All right. What you should have in front of you is a little document. What we've done is we've taken the Cisco user guide for these phones, and believe it or not, Cisco provides like a 120-page document to show you how to use these phones. And what we've done is we've broken it down to what you have in front of you, and this gives you a breakdown of just the basic stuff that we're going to go over today and the stuff that you're going to do day to day. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so what you have in front of you is, again, the Cisco 7965 phone. On the screen itself, you'll look at the top line, the black line. You'll see you have the time, the date, as well as the 10-digit number. So that's the number that the outside world is going to call to get to you. Below that is the extension. So it should be a 1950 number for these training phones. So that's the 4-digit extensions. Moving forward, you're going to be able to dial 4 digits throughout the 32BJ network. So any phone that's on the system will be a 4-digit dial. Each line or button or extension you have available up to 3 calls per extension. So what that means is you can have two calls on hold, be on an active one, and that's the extent of what you'll be able to do. If a 4th call comes in that scenario, that call will go to voicemail. All right. If you do have multiple lines, sometimes folks are responsible for different extensions. They have their own extension as well as maybe a department number or possibly even the main number. Each of those extensions will have the capability of handling up to 3 calls. Okay. On the bottom where it says your current options, that will physically change. So that'll be giving you updates as to what's going on your phone, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Below that, you have your little blue tabs. Those are called soft tabs. Those will change also throughout the functionality of the phone, as you'll see. And just to select that soft phone, you'll go ahead and press the button below that. In the center, the little blue circle, that's called the navigation key. You can navigate through the different functionalities and select different numbers and highlight them by using the navigation key. And there's a little check mark in the middle. That's like an enter button or a select button on a PC. If you would choose to use that, you can. Bottom left there is the traditional keypad. That's what you go ahead and you've seen that on every other phone. To the right, those oblong 4 buttons. The top 2 buttons are going to be the ones that you're going to be focusing on day to day. You have the envelope or the messages button. That's how you're going to access the voicemail system from your phone, and you have the directories button or the open book. If you go ahead and press that now, you'll see you have the option to select from different call logs. Missed calls, received calls, placed calls, personal directory. And if you go ahead and press the down arrow on the navigation key, you'll see the different selections will be highlighted, and if you go all the way to the bottom, you also have an option for number 5, which is the corporate directory. Now, the corporate directory will give you the option to search the whole corporate directory. So everybody that's on this system will be in that corporate directory. And if you go ahead and press the check mark or highlight corporate directory and hit the check mark, you'll see you have a first name, a last name, and a number search base. All you simply need to do is highlight the last name section, start putting in the first couple letters of the person's last name you're looking for, hit the search button, which is a soft key in the bottom left, and then they'll give you a certain amount of options. All you need to do is highlight that person's name and hit the dial button, and it'll dial that person right from the directory. So you don't have to remember it and then type in the extension. You can highlight that person's name, hit the dial button, and it'll go ahead and dial that person for you. So everybody hit cancel please for me, or exit, and then back to the main screen. Going back to the right side oblong buttons, you have the services button and the settings button. Stay away from those day one. They really don't do anything for you for general functionality. The settings button is just is more for your IT staff to go ahead and see the different settings on the phone, or the different IP addresses that are assigned to the phone. Below that is your volume key. While the phone is hung up, you can change the volume. If you go ahead and do that now, you can change the volume of the audible ring on the phone. Wherever you leave it is where it sets. If you're on a call, so if you lift up the handset and you hit that volume button, you'll see that as you're moving it and scrolling it up and down, you'll see a little save button in the lower left-hand corner. This is the volume for the person on the other end, or the spoken word while you're in a call. You need to save that. If you do not save it, it'll just revert back to where it was before. So no big deal if you forget to do it. Just remember that it's a setting you need to set. You need to save if you want to keep the volume where it is. Your bottom buttons, your headset button, your mute button, and your speaker button, kind of self-explanatory. Speaker button, you press that, it goes to speakerphone. You have the headset button. You need to have a headset attached to the phone to go ahead and use that option. The mute button, if you're in an active call and you hit the mute button will light steady red. That's an indicator that the call is muted. All you need to simply do is hit that button and take the red lighting flashing out, and then it'll go ahead and you'll be able to speak. On the handset itself, traditional, no big differences. Behind the earpiece is this little light, and you probably saw it flashing as you changed the volume on the ring. When the phone rings, that light will flash. So if you do have the volume all the way down, that's an indicator that the phone's ringing. If you come back to your desk and you see that light lit steady red, that'll be an indicator that you have a voicemail and you need to go ahead and retrieve it. You'll also get an indicator on your screen next to your extension with a little envelope. That's also another indication that you have a voicemail. Any questions so far? All right. These are going to sound silly, but they're items that I need to explain because it's funny. The way they package these things, if you lift the handset off the phone, if you look under the little receiver button, you'll see you have a little clip there. The way they come out of the box, they leave them smooth like this, and people have a hard time hanging up the phones, believe it or not. What'll happen is you think you hang it up, and then you don't because of that little clip. So what I recommend is, day one, take that little clip with your finger, pop it out, and spin it around, and slide it back in. And if you do that, you'll see that there's a little notch on the top of it. And you put the handset down, you'll feel that it kind of locks it in place. So you won't be able to hang it up unless you physically lock it on there. So it's I don't know why they just don't ship them out of the box like that, because no one ever, it always creates a problem. So just something to keep in mind. If you're hanging up your phone and it's not hanging up, good chances you probably didn't spin that little button around. On the side, you have a little button. It's for the foot stand in the back. That'll just raise the level of the phone. All right. Okay, so that's it for the look and feel of the phone. Any questions? Simple stuff. All right, now we'll get into the basic usage of the phone. So like I mentioned, you're going to dial a 4-digit extension to dial the phone. These phones can be dialed while the phone is hung up. So we've all been in that scenario where we're dialing a long number and we're looking on a piece of paper and we dial the first 3 digits, then we look down, we dial the next 3 digits, and then by the time we could look back up, the phone hung up and we're going to start all over. Well, this phone, you can keep the phone hung up and dial that number and take your time, and then once the number is dialed, all you need to do is lift up the handset and it'll dial the number for you. Okay? That can be done with the 4 digits as well. You're still going to dial 9-1 to get out an outside line. You're going to still continue to need that if you don't do that already. So you can also place calls, like I mentioned, from your directories. So like I mentioned with the, if you go ahead and press that button now, we went through the corporate directory. So you go ahead and search. Once you find a person, you highlight that person with the navigation key. All you need to simply do is hit the dial button, which will be available to you as a soft key, or just lift up the handset and it'll dial. The other directory you're most likely going to use, the other ones are good, but the 2 that you're going to use are the corporate directory and the missed calls. So when you get back to your desk, where it says select directory on your screen, if you have the directory open, it'll say on your phone when you get back to your desk, you have a missed call, and it'll tell you how many calls you have. So all you simply need to do is hit the directories button, highlight the missed calls, hit the little check mark, and it'll give you a list of all the numbers that called that you missed. These phones are training phones, so they probably don't have any numbers on them. And all you'll simply need to do once they're populated is highlight that number. And once you highlight the number, you'll see on the bottom on the screen, it'll tell you what time and what day that person called and that missed call. So you'll be able to get it, you'll have an indicator of when that person called. And then all you simply need to do is, if it's an internal number, just highlight it again with the soft key, lift up the handset, and you can dial that person back. Okay? And once that's done, that number is then placed into the called or placed call directory. If it's an outside number or a full 10-digit number or a cell phone or whatever, what have you, that's one of your missed calls. With this system right now, what it does not do is it does not automatically populate the 9 and 1. Remember I mentioned you have to dial 9 and 1 to get out. So if you have a full 10-digit extension, it's not going to have the 9 and 1 in front of it. So what you need to do is you'll need to highlight that number. Eventually the system will change. It's coming out in the next version, the next update. What you'll need to do is you'll need to highlight that number. There'll be an option to edit dial. You hit the edit dial button and you'll just type 91 and you'll see it'll place the 9 and 1 in front of it, lift up the handset, and then it'll dial the number for you. Okay? That's if you want to use the missed call directory to dial back an outside number. Okay? If you know the person's number, you just dial 91 and dial the number and you'll be fine. All right? So that's the missed call directory. All right. This system, believe it or not, scares a lot of people. People are not really happy with change and whatnot. So the system has a built-in safeguard for placing people on hold. So what happens is people that get multiple calls, they usually get scared. If I have a second call come in, I'm going to forget to place it on hold and I'm going to accidentally hang up on a person. This system will allow you to toggle or move between calls that are on hold and not, and actually automatically place calls on hold for you without you even hitting the button. So if you have an active call, you'll have an option to put the call on hold. You press the hold button, and it'll put a little pause button, a little pause symbol in front of the call. And all you simply need to do is hit the resume button to go ahead and take that call off hold. If you have multiple calls, so say you're on an active call and a second call comes in, and this is where you start scrambling for the on hold button, if you forget to place that call on hold, all you simply need to do is answer that second call, and it'll automatically place that first call on hold for you. So you don't have to worry about accidentally hanging up on the system. So what I like to tell people is the only way you're going to hang up on somebody is if you physically do so, by taking this and hanging it up or hitting the end call soft key. So you don't have to worry about it. So you'll be able to toggle between calls and activate another call, and anything else that you have active on the system will automatically be placed on hold. So you don't have to worry about that. Any questions so far? Okay, and that holds true between two extensions. So if you are responsible for two separate extensions, and you have a call on your primary one, and a second call comes in on your secondary extension, and you answer it, it'll automatically place that first call on hold, so you have nothing to worry about. All right? That's placing calls and placing them on hold. All right, so while the phone is hung up, you have a redial option, a new call option, a C forward all option, and a DND option. So the redial option is self-explanatory. You hit that button, it's going to redial the last number that you called. Simple enough. New call, if you hit the new call button, it's going to open up the speakerphone, and then you'll be able to place a call. So I see a few people are doing that. So all you simply need to do is hit the speaker button, and you can go ahead and hang up. Now, the C forward all option is an option that you'll be available to forward your calls. So say you're going to a conference room, or you're going to another cube or another extension, you can take your 4-digit extension and forward it to that secondary place. So all you simply need to do is hit the C forward all button. If you do that now, you'll see a little line opens up. You dial the extension you know you're going to be at. Once you do that, it will automatically close the session out, and then the phone will be forwarded to a second location. So if everybody wants, go ahead and hit the C forward all button and type in 1951. That's my extension up here. And you'll see that all the calls are being forwarded to 1951. Does everybody have it? Phone's not working? You want to just, yeah. Okay. So, all right, someone's calling me. All right, so I'm going to forward mine to 19. Everybody's got it? 1951. All right, guys are placing calls. I'm getting phone calls and everything. All right, just do me a favor. Just go ahead and hang up any calls you got going on. So once you're forwarding your calls, you'll see next to your extension, there's a little arrow kind of shooting this way. That's letting you know that your calls are being forwarded. Also on the bottom of the screen, it should say call forwarded, and it should tell you where it's going to. Now, when you're at that second location, and a call comes in that gets forwarded to where you are, someone calls your desk, and it's forwarded to where you are, as some of you may have seen by placing calls, it tells you call forwarded from your extension. So you know that that call is intended for you, and you can go ahead and answer it. Now, when you get back to your desk and you want to set the phone back to the normal state, all you need to do is hit the call forward all set button again. If you go ahead and do that, it'll put your phone back to its normal state. All right. If you want to forward everything to your voicemail, so say you're going on vacation and you don't want your phone to ring out the whole time you're away and bother everybody in the office, all you simply need to do is hit the C forward all button, then the little envelope button, and if you look on the bottom of your screen, if everybody can do that, it'll say on the bottom, your calls are forwarded to voicemail. Now what's going to happen is if somebody calls your extension, it's not going to ring, it's just going to go directly to the voicemail system. You get back from vacation, you'll hit the call forward all button again, you'll go back to the normal state, it'll let you know how many voicemails you have, and then you can go ahead and retrieve them. Any questions on that? Forwarding can only be done internally. You cannot forward it to your cell phone, you can't forward it to your home phone, unfortunately. All right. The next button on there is DND, or Do Not Disturb. If everybody hits that button now, you'll see that the bottom of the screen will say Do Not Disturb is active. Now, all Do Not Disturb does is it mutes your phone. So if you received a call right now while Do Not Disturb was on, the little button back here would flash, and on your screen, the caller ID would pop on the screen. All right, letting you know. So say you're in a conference or someone's in your office and you're having a meeting or at your cube, you can hit the Do Not Disturb, and then your phone will just visibly ring. It will not audibly ring. Once you're done, you just hit the Do Not Disturb button again, and it'll go ahead and take that off. Everybody got it? Okay, good. Okay, now, some of you may have placed some calls. Another option you have is something called iDivert. Most of you saw, and you will see when you have an incoming call, you have that little iDivert soft key. If you're in your office and you can't take the call, all you'll simply do is hit that iDivert button and it'll send it directly to voicemail. Now usually people are like, wow, that's awesome. But here's what you need to keep in mind. This sounds silly, but there are some people in this world that think it's the rudest thing in the world when you send them to voicemail. So keep in mind, when you press the iDivert button, the person on the other end is gonna know it. Because this system is set to dial 4 times and then go to voicemail. People are gonna know that. So if you see it, it rings once, they hear it ring once, and then they hear your voicemail system, they're gonna know that you sent them. So just keep that in mind when you see who's calling you. So there was a guy in my office that is just like, it's the rudest thing in the world. He's like, I can't stand it when people do that to me. To each his own. So just keep that in mind. All right, so iDivert, people on the other end know because it goes directly to voicemail. Transferring. Does everybody in this office do transferring? Okay. What I like to do with transferring is I like to ask first how you typically do it today. So you're on a call, you want to transfer that call, what do? You have a transfer button, you press the transfer button, you dial the number, you press transfer again. Well, guess what? You're going to do the same thing. So it's easy on me. So when you're in an active call, you'll have a transfer button available to you. All you simply need to do is hit the transfer button, dial that person's extension or phone number outside, hit transfer again. If that person doesn't answer, or if you're transferring for another person, that person doesn't want to talk to that person you're trying to transfer, all you simply need to do is hang up on that person. That call you were trying to transfer will be placed on hold. All you simply need to do is hit resume and say, XYZ really didn't feel like talking to you. I can transfer you to someone else. Or you do have the ability to transfer to a person's voicemail. Okay? To transfer to a person's voicemail on this system, all you simply need to do is hit transfer, and this is in the documentation, so don't worry. You'll need to hit transfer. You'll hit pound that person's extension, and then transfer again, and it goes right to the voicemail system. So it's a nice little feature. Also, keep in mind that you can dial directly and not, so there's always somebody in the office that, you know, you like them, but you really don't want to talk to them on the phone, because when you get on the phone with them, you're on the phone forever, and you can't get off. So all you simply need to do is, if you just want to leave them a message, you really don't want to talk and get stuck on the phone, you can just dial straight out. Instead of dialing their extension, dial that pound, that person's extension, and you'll get their voicemail system right away. You can leave them a message, they'll miraculously get a message, and that'll be the end of it.
So if you're trying to transfer to a person's line for them to pick it up,
Mm-hmm.
because I need somebody talking to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
do I not hit the pound sign?
No, that pound sign is only for voicemail.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Just do their 4 digits.
if you want them to physically speak, it's the transfer, the 4 digits, transfer again. Okay? You can actually, well, we'll get into that a little bit later. So any questions on transferring? Okay. If you don't want to speak to the person, you could just hit transfer, and however you guys do it now is fine. Because what happens is when you hit that transfer button again, it places that call on hold. So you're basically just opening up a new call. So you wait for the person to answer, you say, I got Bob on the other line, they say, okay, you just hit the transfer button again. Okay? Or you can just hit transfer number, transfer, just send it right on its way without speaking to the person. Next is conferencing. Go ahead.
How do you forward voicemails? Like, someone left a voicemail for you and you want to...
We'll get into that.
Oh.
All right, we'll get into that in voicemail. Conferencing. Again, another one of those things that I ask. How you conference? I'm assuming it's going to be the same. So you're on a call, you hit a conference button, you dial the number, you hit conference again. Same thing holds true now, making my life simple. Conference, you'll have a conference option available to you. If you do not see it in those little blue soft keys, anything you're looking for and you don't see it, and typically conference is one of those items, there'll be a more button. You have to hit the more button to bring you into the conference option. You hit the conference button, dial the number, hit conference again once that person answers, or just let it ring. Now, the conferencing system that will be available to you, you can conference in up to 6 folks. So the maximum amount will be 6 people. There has to be at least 1 internal phone in the conference. And what I mean by that is, the scenario is you have 1 internal phone and 2 cell phones, right, on a conference, 3 calls. One of those cell phone, you hang up. So the person that's internal hangs up, everybody gets hung up on. Okay, so keep that in mind. 1 internal extension needs to be on that conference. All right? Again, 6 folks in a conference. And that's pretty much it. Internal and outside numbers, but just one internal number needs to be on that conference. Any questions? All right. That was easy. All right. One other option you have is something called call park. Now, you're on an active call, you're talking to someone, and this is the scenario for call park. Some people absolutely need it, some people don't. Call park gives you the ability to place a call in like virtual space on hold. You won't see it on your phone. It's not like hitting the hold button. You're just putting it out there on the phone system and no one can see it. And it gives you the option or the opportunity to go to a second location and pick up that call. So say you're at your desk. A lot of offices, this is the scenario, a lot of offices that we deal with have these little privacy cubes for their financial firms or whatever, and you got to put, you're on a call and you're like, hold on, I need to go somewhere private. So all they do is they park the call, they go into this privacy place, this privacy area, they close the door, and they can pick up the call. Now, what it does is when you hit that park button on the bottom of the screen, it will tell you call parked at an extension. So we set up like 10 extensions in the system that aren't assigned to anybody. They're just assigned to this call park system. So again, you place the call on, you hit the park button on the bottom of your screen. It'll say call parked at, for argument's sake, 1, 2, 3, 4. You go to that second location, you pick up the phone, you dial 1, 2, 3, 4, like you're placing a phone call, and that call will automatically pop up on the screen. Okay? You have 1 minute to get to that second location. Believe it or not, it's a lot of time. All right, you have a minute to get to that second location. Reason being is we've all been there. We're going from point A to point B. We get stopped 15 times. We forget what we were doing. Now, what will happen after the minute is it will just ring back at the original location. So it'll go back to your desk. It'll ring. If you're not there to answer it, it'll just go to voicemail. Okay? That's call park. Some people won't have a use for it. Some people will. It's simple. If I want to transfer, I do X, Y, Z. That's it. It's not any mumbo jumbo. All the mumbo jumbo has been taken out, and it's just straight. This is what you need to do. All right. Everything I spoke of is there. Call forwarding, the voicemail options, as far as forwarding the voicemail, all that good stuff. All right. Any questions something that I didn't cover that you guys do daily that was on your old phone system? You want to know if it's on the new phone system? Anything? Great. Sorry. Log in. Sorry, I should have handled that first. I apologize. Mobility. Okay, this is big. Now, with these phones, with this system, the way the system works is these phones are not assigned to a specific person. Your extensions are built into the system. So your extension is assigned to your name and so on. What you'll need to do is, when you get your phone, you'll need to log into your phone system. It's called extension mobility. Okay? Now, what you're going to need to do is, and I was looking through the document that the project manager put together. I'll make sure that this is in there and updated, and maybe we can send it out to everyone. What you'll need to do is you'll need to hit that little services button. So this is where that button comes into effect. You'll see, if you hit that now, it says extension mobility, and it'll have a log out. It'll ask you if you want to log out. If you say yes, it'll log out that extension. Now, if you look at that little log out, it'll say star 011951. So star is star. Everybody has to press star. 01 is the location. Now, you have different locations. There's going to be different site codes. So 01, I'm not sure where they're broken down, but they will be handed out to you. You'll know what your site code is. So when you're logging in, you'll have to log in with your site code. In this case, it's 01, and then you'll see that it's the extension or your extension. So that's going to be your username, or whatever, and your extension. The password is going to be simple. It's going to be 12345, and that's always going to be that way. So your login name, again, star 01 extension. Password is going to be 12345. You'll hit enter. It'll log you into the phone. Now, the good thing about it is, say you travel, say you get a promotion or you transfer to a different location, all you simply need to do is grab all your stuff, you leave your phone on your desk, you log out, you go to that next location, you log in, and that phone's yours. And you can do that from anywhere. If you're going to be somewhere temporarily for a week or so, for a couple hours, you're going to be working in private, you want to bring your extension with you, you just log in that way at that phone. Okay? So next, voicemail. Okay. So voicemail. Day one, you're going to have to set up your voicemail system. So when you sit down at your desk, I suggest give yourself 10, 15 minutes and set up your voicemail system. All you'll need to do is when you get to your desk, you'll hit the envelope button. The phones will be ready to be set up. You'll hit the little envelope. There'll be a voice on the other end letting you know what you need to do. Again, do it when you have time because it's very self-explanatory. It's very easy to follow. The first time, it's going to ask you for your for your password, okay? Because you're going to need to log in first. Once you log in with Extension Mobility, the phone system, the voicemail system is going to know who you are, okay? All it's going to do is ask you to put in your password. Everybody's password, day one, and it's in here, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Simple enough. Okay? So once you put in that password day one, the system is going to prompt you to record your greeting, so your personal greeting. You have the option to record up to 3 greetings. So you have your primary, and then you'll also can record, this is more for main numbers. It's a snow day, a day off, holiday, so you can toggle through and change the different greetings. What's cool about it too is, say you're going on vacation, you forget to set your away messages. You could just dial into your system, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute from the outside. You could just dial in, put in your information, and you scroll through the options, and it'll give you the options where you can set a date and time that your alternate greeting is on. So it'll say, record your alternate greeting. Hi, it's Mike. I'm not going to be available between Monday and Friday. I'm going to be away. Please leave a message or contact whomever. Then you can actually set the dates. It'll ask you for the day, month, and time that you want to start the message, and the day, month, and time that you want to end the message. So it'll create a little window for your whole vacation. You get back, it'll go right back to normal. So again, log in with that password. It's going to ask you to change your password to something more personal. Nothing trivial. No, you can't keep it at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't do 1, 3, 7, 9. It's got to be something a little substantial. All right, once that's done, your voicemail system is set up. Now, to access it from your phone, all you need to do is hit the envelope, put that new password that you have, that you created, and you'll be able to get your voicemails. Now, calling from the outside. So you want to call from the outside and retrieve your voicemails. All you simply need to do is dial, and it's in the documentation, 212-388-3999. 3999 is actually the internal 4-digit extension for the voicemail system. So you can actually do that from any phone. Just dial that number. When you dial that outside number, it's going to ask you for your identification first. Your identification is your extension. So you go ahead and put your extension in. It's going to be 01 and your extension because it needs to know who. And then it says, okay, it's Mike. I need to know Mike's password. And then go ahead and put your password. Now, if you dial into that system from the same phone, so say you use your cell phone, after about 3 times of using the same phone and putting in your identification, the system's going to learn the caller ID and associate it with your extension. So it's not going to ask you anymore for your ID. It's going to automatically go and say, all right, we know who you are because you call in all the time from this number. Just give us your password and we're good to go. Every voicemail that you receive, so you're just going to get a notification. Basically all it's going to do is send you an email saying, hey, you have a voicemail. If you're out, you dial the outside number, you dial in. If you're in, you just go ahead and check it from your phone. Now, then the question you asked earlier, gentlemen, sir, the question you asked earlier, after you listen to the message, do it that way. Any questions? All right.